I installed a nanny cam to watch our nanny. Instead, I watched my husband destroy our family in ways I never imagined possible. What I saw on that camera didn't just end my marriage. It ended the man I thought I knew. My name is Rachel Foster. I'm 57 years old, and I'm speaking to you from my sister's guest room in Austin, Texas, where I've been living for the past 2 months with my 2 daughters. 4 months ago, I had everything. A beautiful home in the suburbs of Denver, a successful husband, 2 healthy girls, a life that looked perfect from the outside. But perfection is just a mask. And when that mask came off, what I found underneath made me physically sick. Before I take you into that living room where everything fell apart, I need you to subscribe right now. We're pushing to hit 10,000 subscribers, and your support helps us share more stories like mine. Hit that subscribe button because what I caught on that nanny cam, what my husband did while I was at work trusting him, will make you question everything you think you know about the people you love. Let me take you back to where this started, back to when I thought I was just being a cautious mother. My husband's name was David. We met in college 12 years ago. He was studying architecture. I was studying nursing. We were that couple everyone envied. We finished each other's sentences. We laughed at the same jokes. We wanted the same things. Marriage at 27. First baby at 29. Second baby at 32. A house with a backyard. Sunday morning pancakes. The whole dream. David's career took off fast. By the time I was 35, he was a partner at one of Denver's top architecture firms, pulling in close to $300,000 a year. I worked part-time as a pediatric nurse, 3 12-hour shifts a week at Children's Hospital. It was the perfect balance. I got to use my degree, contribute financially, but still be present for our girls. Emma was 6. Sophie was 4. Beautiful, smart, full of energy. The kind of kids who made strangers smile in grocery stores. About 8 months ago, my hospital offered me a promotion. Full-time position, better benefits, significant pay increase. It was everything I'd worked toward, but it meant longer hours. It meant night shifts. It meant I couldn't be home as much. David encouraged me to take it. "Babe, this is your dream job," he said, holding my hands across our kitchen table. "We'll figure it out. We'll hire help. But the girls, we'll be fine. We'll get a nanny, someone great, someone the girls will love." I was hesitant. I'd always been the primary caregiver. The idea of someone else putting my daughters to bed, making their meals, being there when they scraped their knees, it felt wrong. But David was so supportive, so understanding, so willing to help. "I can work from home more," he said. "My firm's flexible. I'll be here with the nanny and the girls. You won't miss anything, I promise." So I took the job, and we hired Melissa. Melissa Chen was 23, fresh out of college with an early childhood education degree. She had perfect references. She was patient, kind, and the girls adored her immediately. Within 2 weeks, Emma was showing Melissa her artwork, and Sophie was asking if Melissa could stay for dinner. It felt right. It felt safe. But about 3 months in, something started feeling off. Little things at first. I'd come home from a night shift and find dishes in my sink that weren't there when I left. David would be showered and dressed at 10 in the morning. On days he said he was working from home, which seemed odd for someone who usually worked in pajamas until noon. The girls started saying strange things. Daddy and Melissa were laughing really loud yesterday. Emma mentioned one evening while I braided her hair, "That's nice, honey." What were they laughing about? She shrugged. "I don't know. We were watching TV and they were in the kitchen." Another time, Sophie said, "Melissa gave Daddy a hug goodbye and he picked her up." "Picked her up?" "Like this," Sophie demonstrated, wrapping her legs around my waist. "And they were spinning." My stomach dropped. But I told myself I was being paranoid. David wouldn't. He loved me. He loved our family. He was just being friendly to our nanny, building rapport, making her feel comfortable. Then I found the receipt. I was doing laundry and checking David's pants pockets before throwing them in the wash, something I always did because he constantly left things in there. This time, I found a crumpled receipt from Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Dinner for 2, $187, from a Tuesday night 2 weeks ago. A Tuesday night when David had texted me saying he was working late at the office and would grab takeout. A Tuesday night when Melissa had texted me saying the girls were in bed and she was leaving for the night. I stared at that receipt for 20 minutes, my hands shaking. There had to be an explanation. A client dinner he forgot to mention. A colleague's birthday. Something innocent. I called him at work. "Hey, babe," he answered, his voice warm and normal. "Quick question. Were you at Ruth's Chris 2 weeks ago? I found a receipt. Pause. Just a half-second pause. But I heard it. Oh yeah, client dinner. The Peterson project. Why? Just wondering. The receipt didn't say business on it. I probably forgot to tell them. I'll expense it this week. Everything okay? Yeah, everything's fine. But everything wasn't fine, because I'd looked at the receipt more carefully after we hung up. The date, the time, 7:45 p.m. on a Tuesday. Melissa's timesheet said she'd left our house at 8:30 that same Tuesday. So if David was at dinner with a client at 7:45, who was watching our girls until 8:30? Unless he wasn't at dinner with a client. That's when I bought the nanny cam. I didn't tell David. I didn't tell anyone. I ordered it on Amazon with my credit card. Had it delivered to my sister's house and picked it up on my way home from a shift. It looked like a regular digital clock, the kind you'd put on a bookshelf or mantle and never think twice about. But it had a camera, a good one, with audio, and it connected to an app on my phone, where I could watch live footage or review recordings from anywhere. I placed it on the living room bookshelf, angled perfectly to capture the couch, the kitchen entrance and the hallway to the bedrooms. I positioned it during my lunch break on a Thursday, when David was supposedly at the office and Melissa was out with the girls at the park. Then I went back to work and waited. For 3 days, nothing. Just normal nanny stuff. Melissa playing with the girls, making them lunch, helping with homework. David popping in and out for work calls, grabbing coffee, normal husband and father behavior. I started feeling guilty. What was I doing? Spying on my husband? Doubting the man I'd built? A life with over a receipt and some innocent comments from my daughters? But then came Monday. I was at the hospital, middle of a 12-hour shift. When I checked the app during my break, it was 2:15 in the afternoon. The girls were at school. They wouldn't be home until 3:30. I opened the live feed, and there, on my couch, in my living room, was my husband. With Melissa, they were kissing. Not a friendly peck, not an accidental moment. A deep, passionate, hands in hair, bodies pressed together kiss. I watched, frozen, as David pulled Melissa onto his lap, as she wrapped her legs around him. As his hands slid up her shirt, I couldn't breathe. The break room started spinning. Someone asked if I was okay, but I couldn't answer because I was watching my husband betray me in real time on a 5-inch screen. They broke apart laughing. Melissa said something. I couldn't hear because I'd forgotten to turn the volume up. David kissed her neck. She giggled. Then David checked his watch and said something. Melissa nodded, got off his lap, adjusted her shirt, and they both walked toward the hallway, toward the bedrooms, toward my bedroom. I turned off my phone. I couldn't watch anymore. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. My husband was sleeping with our nanny, in our house, in our bed, while our children were at school. How long had this been going on? Weeks? Months? Since we hired her? I called my charge nurse and told her I had a family emergency. She let me leave early. I drove home in a daze, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles were white. I didn't go inside. I sat in my car in the driveway and opened the app again, rewound the footage, and then I watched everything I'd missed. For the next hour, sitting in my car, I watched my husband and our nanny have sex in my bedroom. I watched them shower together in my bathroom. I watched them come back to the living room wrapped in towels, laughing, kissing, acting like teenagers. I watched Melissa check her phone and say something. David nodded. They both got dressed quickly. At 3:20, Melissa left through the front door. At 3:25, David emerged from the bedroom fully dressed, hair still wet, and sat down at the kitchen table with his laptop like he'd been working all day. At 3:35, I watched the front door open again. Melissa came back in with Emma and Sophie, chattering about their school day. "Hey, girls," David called out, getting up from the table. "How was school?" Emma ran to him. "Daddy, we made volcanoes in science." He hugged her, kissed her head, asked about her project. The perfect father, the loving dad, the man who just fucked our nanny in our bed 30 minutes earlier. I watched until 4:15, when Melissa left for real this time, hugging the girls goodbye, waving to David, completely normal. Then I turned off the app, got out of my car, and walked into my house. David was in the kitchen making the girls a snack. "Hey, babe?" He looked surprised. "You're home early." I wasn't feeling well. They let me leave. "Oh no, you okay?" He came over, tried to kiss my forehead. I stepped back. "I'm fine, just need to lie down." I walked to our bedroom, the bedroom where he'd been with her hours ago. The bed was made. The room smelled like air freshener, covering up evidence. I lay down on top of the covers and stared at the ceiling. My husband was a stranger, the man I'd trusted with my life, my children, my future, a complete stranger. And I had proof, video proof, dated, time-stamped, undeniable proof. That night, after the girls were asleep, after David had kissed them goodnight and told them he loved them, after he'd climbed into bed next to me and tried to cuddle, I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront him yet. I wasn't going to scream or cry or throw things. I was going to be smart, strategic. I was going to gather every piece of evidence I could find, and then I was going to destroy him so completely he'd wish he'd never met me. For 2 weeks, I played the perfect wife. I smiled at breakfast. I kissed David goodbye when he left for work. I thanked Melissa for taking care of the girls. I acted like everything was normal while I secretly documented every single betrayal. The nanny cam captured everything. They had sex 4 more times over those 2 weeks. Once on the couch, twice in my bed, once in the guest room, always when the girls were at school, always during my shifts. I created a folder on my laptop titled Recipes and saved every video file there. I backed everything up to a cloud account David didn't know about. I took screenshots of text messages I found on David's iPad when he was in the shower. Messages between him and Melissa going back 5 months. 5 months. Since 3 weeks after we hired her, the messages made me sick. They weren't just about sex. They talked about me, laughed about me. She has no idea, David had written. Works night shifts and trusts me completely. It's almost too easy. Do you feel guilty? Melissa had asked. Not really. She's so focused on her career now. I barely see her. You're more fun anyway. More fun. I was more fun. The mother of his children. The woman who'd supported him through grad school. Who'd moved across the country for his career. Who'd sacrificed my own ambitions so he could chase his. I was boring now. A wife who worked too much and didn't laugh at his jokes anymore. Another message. When are you going to tell her? Tell her what? That you want a divorce. That you love me. My blood went cold. He loved her. He was planning to divorce me. Soon, David had written. I need to figure out the finances first. Make sure I'm protected. Protected. He was planning to protect his money before leaving me. I kept reading, kept screaming silently, kept taking screenshots. Then I found the worst part. What about the girls? Melissa had asked. They'll adjust. Kids are resilient. And honestly, they love you. Might make the transition easier. He was planning to replace me. Not just as a wife, as a mother. That night, I contacted a divorce attorney. A shark. The kind of lawyer who made men like David cry in court. Her name was Patricia Morales, and her reputation was legendary. When I showed her the videos, the messages, the timeline, her eyes lit up. This is a dream case, she said, leaning back in her office chair. Infidelity, proof of affair with household employee, documented betrayal. Colorado is a no-fault divorce state, but this kind of evidence absolutely impacts custody and asset division. I want full custody, I said. My voice was steady now, clear. And I want him to pay. You'll get it. Men who cheat with the nanny don't do well in family court. Judges hate it. Makes them look like predators who took advantage of a young employee. She wasn't that young, 23. Doesn't matter. Power dynamic. He was her boss. She was an employee in his home. It plays badly, very badly. Patricia filed the divorce papers on a Friday afternoon. She had them served to David at his office, in front of his colleagues, during a partner meeting. I wasn't there, but his business partner James called me 20 minutes later. Rachel, what the hell is happening? David just got served divorce papers in the middle of our quarterly review. He's been sleeping with our nanny for 5 months. I have video evidence. He can call me when he's ready to talk like an adult. I hung up. David came home 2 hours later. I was in the kitchen with the girls, helping them with homework. I'd already told Melissa her services were no longer needed and paid her severance. She'd cried, apologized, said she never meant to hurt anyone. I told her to get out of my house before I called the police for trespassing. David walked in looking destroyed. His tie was loose. His eyes were red. He saw me and stopped. Rachel! Not in front of the girls. Emma, Sophie, go to your rooms, please. I need to talk to Daddy. They looked between us, confused, but obeyed. Smart girls. They felt the tension. Once their doors closed, David started talking fast. Baby, please, let me explain. Explain what? How you've been fucking our nanny for 5 months. How you planned to divorce me but wanted to protect your finances first. How you told her our daughters would adjust because they love her. His face went white. How did you... Nanny cam. I have everything. Every time you had sex in our house. Every text message. Every lie. All of it. He collapsed onto the couch, head in his hands. Rachel, I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. It just happened. It didn't just happen. It happened repeatedly, deliberately, while I was at work saving children's lives. While I was trusting you with our daughters. I love you. You don't love me. You love the idea of me. The nurse wife who made you look good. But the second I focused on my career, the second I wasn't available 24/7, you replaced me. That's not true. I read your messages, David. You called me boring. You said I worked too much. You planned our divorce like a business strategy. He was crying now. Actually crying. Please don't do this. Think about the girls. Think about our family. I am thinking about the girls, which is why I'm getting them away from a father who values his dick more than their stability. Rachel! My lawyer will contact you about custody arrangements. You can see Emma and Sophie on supervised visits. Until the court decides, you're not a complete disaster. Do not contact me. Do not come to this house. You have 48 hours to get your things. After that, I'm changing the locks. This is my house too. Actually, it's not. It's my house. I checked the deed. My parents gave us the down payment as a wedding gift, but they put it in my name only. You've been living in my house, sleeping in my bed, fucking our nanny under my roof. I checked this with Patricia. Colorado law was complicated. But because my parents had gifted, the down payment specifically, to me and the deed was solely in my name, I had strong grounds to keep the house in the divorce. David looked broken. Good. He deserved to be broken. Where will I go? I don't care. Maybe Melissa has a couch you can sleep on. I'm sure she'd love to console you. I walked past him toward the girls' rooms. He grabbed my arm. Don't touch me, I said quietly. Ever again. He let go. The divorce took 4 months. Brutal, ugly, expensive months. David tried to fight for 50-50 custody. Patricia destroyed him on the stand with the videos, the messages, the timeline showing he'd been having an affair with an employee while responsible for our children. The judge was not impressed. Mr. Foster, she said, looking at David over her glasses, you engaged in an extramarital affair with a household employee, someone you and your wife hired to care for your minor children. You conducted this affair in the family home, during hours when you were supposed to be supervising your daughters. This demonstrates profoundly poor judgment. David's lawyer tried to argue it didn't affect his parenting abilities. It absolutely affects his judgment, Patricia countered. He modeled infidelity, dishonesty, and disrespect for his marriage vows. What message does that send to his daughters about relationships? About trust? About women? The judge awarded me primary physical custody. David got supervised visitation every other weekend until he completed a parenting course and therapy. He was ordered to pay child support, spousal support, and half the girls' expenses. I kept the house. He kept his retirement accounts. We split the savings. Melissa disappeared. I heard through mutual friends she'd moved back to California. Too ashamed to stay in Denver, David moved into a 1-bedroom apartment downtown. His reputation at work was destroyed. 2 partners asked him to leave the firm. He eventually did, starting his own small practice that's struggling. Meanwhile, I'm thriving. I got a promotion at the hospital. My girls are in therapy processing the divorce, but they're resilient. They're smart. They know Daddy made a mistake, but they still love him. Just not the way they used to. I started dating again. Slowly, carefully, a kind radiologist at my hospital who makes me laugh and treats my daughters with respect. He knows my story. He's patient. And every single night when I tuck Emma and Sophie into bed, I remind them of something important. You are worth more than how someone treats you. If someone shows you who they really are, believe them. And never ever let anyone make you feel small. They nod, kiss my cheek, tell me they love me. And I know I did the right thing. So here's what I need from you. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted completely, comment betrayed. If you think David got what he deserved, comment justice. If you've ever caught someone in a lie that changed everything, comment truth. But most importantly, subscribe right now. We're building a community where women's stories matter, where we support each other through the worst betrayals and come out stronger. Hit subscribe, hit like. Share this with every woman who needs to hear that she's not alone. My name is Rachel Foster. I'm 57 years old. I installed a nanny cam to watch our nanny. Instead, I caught my husband having an affair. I gathered evidence, filed for divorce, and won full custody of my daughters. He lost his reputation, his family, and his comfortable life. I lost a cheating husband and gained my self-respect back. Thank you for listening to my confession.